Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers, and this is part 5, and we are finally going to get started on your food can, low poly and high poly food can. And I needed to take you through the process of hard surface modeling and adding detail to your hard surface models. So if you got this far, you're doing fantastic. If not, make sure you contact me, and I'll try to help you as much as I can. Otherwise, just watch those videos, pause them when you can. To help you or slow them down when you're watching them. So however you like to work, the videos are great to have. You can put CC on if you don't want to listen to my voice and you just want to have the closed caption on. That is fine. So let's go ahead and add these now to another layer. Okay, and we're going to call this hard surface 3. 03. And as we get more comfortable with using layers, it's going to become second nature that we can hide and show different objects in our scene. So I'm going to click Save. And so we have all of our layers in here of all the things that we've done so far. Okay? All right. All right, so we started off with a simple cube. Oops. A simple hard surface cube, and then we worked our way up to the more complex looking cube. Okay, so now we need to get our references back again, and let's go ahead and start working on our food can. Okay, so the best way to get started is low poly. Normally, we're at a point now where low poly can be kind of medium poly now because the game engines have really come a long ways. Normally, back maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we had to go in here and really bring this down to a point. Well, I'm going to click on cylinder. I want you to guys click on cylinder, and we can take you through this real quick. But we'd have to bring this down to something like 12, which is really too low of a poly for a game object unless you're doing mobile games or something like that. And that makes there's some things it just doesn't look that good. So we're gonna have to go a little bit, Control Z back. So don't scale this yet, because we're going to be working with this, meaning that if you scale it, your subdivisions may not work. So it comes in as a 20, which is really good, but not good enough. So we're going to go to something like 40 with this. Okay, and this will give us the even at 120 faces, that's not bad at all. Okay, so we're going to start with the low poly at 40. Okay, which we need to have because on a cylindrical object, it looks pretty horrifying at a low poly. It's not a cube, it's a cylindrical object. So it looks horrifying when you get too close to it. You can start seeing the edge faceting. What does that mean? Faceting means when I get close to that edge, and it's harder to see now with the high poly, with our more subdivisions, but if I bring that down, okay, if I bring that down to, let's say 20, you can see the difference when you get closer. You can see that faceted edge here. Faceting is the points between two vertices, the edge between two vertices. And with an edge that's round, you really can see that faceting. You can definitely see that. Even in smooth shade, which is what I have right now, smooth shade on. So again, that is really important to understand, that in low poly modeling, you're going to see faceting depending on what game device you're going to be exporting to. But and in a mobile game, that's perfectly fine. But with us, we're going to be using something like Unreal, and that can take a huge amount of polygons now. So we don't have to worry too much about how low poly it is, but there's a, we still want to save our polygon count. So what I'm going to do is the best of both worlds would be something like 40, okay, like that. And now we can go in here and we don't see faceting, especially when we're going to be in this close, okay? And that's going to be great. That's going to be nice. That's something we can deal with then, okay? So as engines get better and better, game engines, especially game engine like Unreal, we can push the boundaries of low poly, okay? We can push those boundaries a little bit more. Select this can and scale it up to match the sides, okay? I need to turn my references to R, okay, so I don't select them accidentally. Click on my object again, and once I get that pretty close, scale it down a little bit, then move it around. There we go. And then I'm going to move it up to the base, okay? And I'm going to zoom in a little bit, get as close as I can. And that looks pretty good. It's not exact. That's okay. My reference isn't really centered either, and I probably want to center my reference if I want to do this properly. So I'm going to Control Z back. So that's my center here. I need to center that and get that centered to the grid that I have. And then I can turn off the reference and center this guy a little bit better to my object. I'm going to hit the 5 key so I can really center that picture to my object. There we go. That's going to make it a little easier for me. And I'm going to hit the 4 key again and then get this referenced, the reference, so I don't keep selecting it. There we go. That's much better. And now I can go right click over this to vertex mode and move that up. I'm going to right click, go into selection mode, and then go to perspective and see what we've got so far. Let's go ahead and make sure the top is properly centered. It looks like I'm a little bit off on the top on the reference, so I'm going to click on references and turn the R off, and then click on the top view and just move it so it's within that top view. Just kind of center that a little bit better. You can see I've got an edge around there. That edge is the edge we don't have yet for that, so I'm just going to center that a little bit better. You can see I've got a little space between those. If you're having a hard time getting that reference moved, hold the Alt key and use the side arrows to move that, to center that up a little bit better. I can hit the 4 key to see it better. You can see this is what it looks like. Hit the 4 key, you can see that a little bit better. And I can hold the Alt key down and move the arrows around, okay? And I'm trying to center that the best I can, okay? Don't scale this because we need that outer edge. That's going to be the edge of the corners of the can that we're going to create, okay? So that looks good. So now you can reference the references, R for reference. And here's our can. That's the can that we're going to be modeling now because we've got it shaped the way it should be on the top and sides. So the top and the sides are now aligned properly. And then what we're going to do now is create that edge here. That little edge you see on the can itself, the physical can. You can see the bottom edge that we're going to recreate that. Okay. So from the front view, now we're going to add an edge loop to the top of this can. Okay. So I'm going to hold the shift key down, go to insert edge loop, and we're going to insert that edge loop right here. Okay. On the top. And we're going to add an insert edge loop at the bottom as well. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Great. So now we're going to go in here and we're going to go into our perspective mode. I keep hitting the Windows key, sorry about that. And I'm going to hit the Q key. We want to get out of that tool, and we want to select all the edge loop across the top. Okay. So I'm going to have to click off and click on one edge loop and double click the other one that goes all the way around. Let's practice that real quick. Click off, click one of the faces. We're in face mode, right? We're in face mode. Click on one of the faces and then double click the other face, holding down the shift key. Okay, let's try it again. Click on one and then double click on that, and that should make that edge loop all the way around. And then I'm going to click on, hold the shift key, click on this one and double click on this one, and that should do that double click. Otherwise, if you can't do that, you're going to have to go into your selection tool, your paint tool, and paint all the way around and select that and move your brush size. Okay? This is just a faster way of doing it. There's several ways of selecting these. You can do one at a time, which is a pain. Okay? Otherwise, you can just click on one, hold the shift key down, click on the other, and then go down, click on one, shift click the other, double click on it, and that will make the edge loop go all the way around. Okay, just make sure you don't have anything else selected when you do this next step. So Control E, and we want to find the blue arrow when we extrude. Okay, we want to move around, and then we want to click on the blue arrow, click on it, and then pull it out. Okay, now how far we pull depends on our top view. Okay, that depends on our top view. So on our top view, we can see, we get a little closer to this, we can see where we're at. Okay, and we can see that our object is actually larger than the other reference image. Okay, that's okay. I'm going to pull that out like this. And that looks good because we can scale this down, the entire object down just a little bit so it fits. Okay, so that's what we have so far. I'm going to click off. There we go. So I'm going to click and go into selection mode of the object itself. Okay, and we need to center pivot this object, and we need to delete history. So center pivot and delete history. So I'm going to hit the W key, and we can hit the Q key too, because we still had that extrude tool on. And we can go in here and we can scale this down just a smidgen. Okay, kind of follow this. I'm going to get zoomed in here, and I'm going to hit the R key for scale, and in the center I'm just going to scale this down a little bit like that so it fits a little bit better. You can see it fits better to the reference. Now doing that will make it smaller here as well. So I just need to go in here and scale it up just a bit, just a little bit like that. But don't really want to do that, do I? It kind of messes things up. So Control Z back. What we're going to do is we're going to right click over this and go to vertex mode and select the top, marquee select the top, hit the W key and just move that up like that. There we go. And we're going to move this down, just kind of move the view down a little bit, and then marquee select this bottom part and move that down. There we go. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we got to make that lip on the top and push this down. Okay, so I'm going to go to face mode. Okay, and we're at 360 polygons, which is not bad for low poly, 360. And what we're going to do is we're going to marquee, basically select this with the selection tool here, the paint selection tool, and just select the very top faces. So we need to right click and go to face mode and select the faces. Now it's hard, it's going to be hard to select it, so I'm going to make the brush a little bit bigger, and now we can select them. I'm holding the B key down, the B key to move the brush up and down. Hold the B as in boy key down, and that will allow me to brush on the top. And then we need to go underneath. Now notice that I can't see this very well or get to it, so I'm going to turn off references for now. rotate around, and just, I have to hold the shift key though. See, I lost the top ones if I went Control Z back, but you want to hold the shift key to add. So hold the shift key and add the bottom, otherwise you'll have to do the top again. Okay? Alright, so we got both the top and the bottom, and we need to hit the 4 key to make sure we don't have any other faces that are selected that could really make give us a problem. Okay, well, this will give us a problem if we don't. So I'm going to hit the 5 key so we can see what we're doing. Okay, rotate around, hit the Q key to get out of the tool, and do Control E. Okay. Now again, you don't want to select anything, just want to rotate to the bottom, because that's our last selection. And we want to push up on the arrow. Do not click on the cube, click on the arrow. It will highlight when you click on it, and click on it and move it up. And notice how far you're going here when you move it up. Okay? We don't want to go too far down. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Okay. Nice job. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Let's go to the side view and see what it looks like. All right, you can see that we're not quite as thick, and that's okay. So let's push this down a little bit farther. We don't want to meet the other one right here. We just want to make sure that we are a little bit deeper here, not by much. Okay, something like that would be fine. Okay, and I'm going to go back to perspective. Okay, and let's click the Q key and click off. And then let's go ahead and select this object as an object. Okay, so this is our low poly now. We're at 440. Okay, if you have more than that, it might be because you maybe made a mistake. So just look at your object and my object and just kind of rotate around. We did 40 subdivisions on top, and we extruded. We added an edge loop. We extruded the edge out, and then we extruded the edge down. Okay, that's what we did. So that gave us this low poly object of 440. That's how many faces we have. Okay. We have 402 vertices. So this would be the next step. Now I've made videos that are older that have a lot lower polygon count, and they just don't look very good. Okay, they worked in in older games, but now with Unreal 5, it can handle this amount of polygons. Okay, and that would be basically considered a low poly now with an object now for an Unreal game engine. Okay, now this probably wouldn't work mobile with mobile gaming. We'd have to go a little bit smaller than this, but that's okay. We'll keep it kind of what industry standards are now, you know. So low poly 440 for a food can is just perfectly fine. So I'm good with that. So that's your low poly. Congratulations, your low poly. And let's go ahead and in the next part we'll finish it up with the high poly food can. All right, we'll see you then.